Okay, so we're on problem 21 and 22 on the chapter 2 practice test. And on this one, it has a very key word in the instructions, direct variation. Now, direct variation, anytime you see that, you need to think of this equation, y equals a times x. That is what the equation of direct variation looks like. Why? Because this a value is called the constant of variation. Constant of variation, yep. Okay, which is right there. So they want us to find the constant of variation for each one of these problems, and then after we find the constant of variation, find the value of y when x equals negative 0.5. So it's a two-step problem. So first step is, for 21, we have y equals 4 when x equals 0.5. So first step is write your general equation here for direct variation. And then all you have to do is just put your 4 in for the y and the 0.5 in for the x. So we got 4 equals a times 0.5. Okay, and then after you do that, then you need to divide each side by 0.5 in order to get rid of that 0.5. And then you got 4 divided by 0.5, which I know is going to be 8. So now we just found our constant of variation. So we need to use this again and plug it back into our general equation, y equals x. Now instead of a, we're going to put our constant of variation, which is 8. Okay, so now we're on the second part of the problem, which says, what is the value of y when x equals negative 0.5? So we need to take this negative 0.5, put it in for our x, so we have y equals 8 times negative 0.5. And I just know off the top of my head that is, I'm sorry, I put 0.4, 0.5, and 8 times negative 0.5 equals a negative 4. So that would be our two answers there for that question number 21. And then you just do the exact same process for 22. So you could pause the video and try it out yourself. And I'm going to do it right now. So for 22, it says find the constant of variation when y equals 2 and when x equals 3. So do your general constant or direct variation equation. Then you put the 2 in here and the 3 here. So that it becomes 2 equals a times 3. Now we have a times 3. The opposite of times is division. So we need to divide by 3. So we have 2/3 equals a. So that's one part of the answer. The second part of the answer is we need to take that a, put it back into the equation. Okay, so we got y equals 2/3 times x. Okay, now they want us to find y when x equals negative 0.5. So don't forget that part. So that's going to go in for the x. So we have y equals 2/3 times negative 0.5. Okay, and which way do they want this answer? Which problem is this, 22? Okay, so they want it as a fraction. Okay, so negative 0.5, hopefully you know that that's a half. So 2/3, and you can change this to negative 1/2. Hopefully that makes sense. Another way that you can think of it, here, let me do a little decimal help for you. So this 5 is in what's called the tenth spot, right? You got tenths, hundredths, thousandths, you know, the numbers after decimals. So the 5 is in the 10th spot. So that is 5 over 10. So if you reduce this fraction, that equals 1/2. Well, in our case, it's negative, right? Negative 1/2. So that's another way to be able to find the fraction. Okay, so that's a little decimal to fraction lesson there. Okay, so the last step is we just need to multiply these two things. So when you multiply fractions, you just multiply straight across. So 2 times 1 equals 2. And then 3 times -2 equals -6. And so that equals, we can reduce the 2 6. So divide by 2. And divide by 2 down here. 2 divided by 2 equals 1. 6 divided by 2 equals 3. And then we have our negative sign. So the answer is -1/3. So this has two answers. 2/3 equals our constant of variation, which is a, and then we plug that back in and we have y equals -1/3. Okay, so that's the answers for these direct variation questions. If you have any questions, ask me, ask a friend, look in the book, and let's go on to problems 23 to 26.